Good morning. We are going to start, so I kindly ask everybody to sit down. Welcome to the third African Peering and Interconnection Forum. We are happy that you are all here for the first day of the main conference. We have three speakers for the opening today. The first speaker will be Karen Rose, who is Senior Director for Strategic Development for the Internet Society. Then the second speaker is Adiel Akplogan, who is the CEO of AfriNIC. And finally, we'll have Moctar Yedaly, who is the head of Posts and Telecommunications Division of the African Union Commission. Welcome again, and I would like to invite Karen to give her speech.
Well, thank you, Dawit. Honored guest, Mr. Moctar Yedaly, head of the Posts and Telecommunications Division of the African Union Commission. Mr. Adiel Akplogan, CEO of AfriNIC, our guests from the African Telecommunications Union, distinguished government representatives, industry participants, guest speakers, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. My name is Karen Rose, and I'm the Senior Director for Strategic Development at the Internet Society. And it is indeed a pleasure for me to welcome you to the third African Peering and Interconnection Forum. Before starting, I'd like to give some special thanks to our event sponsors. Platinum sponsors Liquid Telecom and CCOM, gold sponsors Google, silver sponsors AfriNIC, AM6, Akamai, Arbor Networks, D6, Africa, Lynx, Terraco, and Internet Solutions, connectivity sponsors Dark Fiber Networks, and social event sponsor Hurricane Electric, for their gracious help in making this third African Peering and Interconnection Forum possible. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to my organization, the Internet Society, and discuss our motivation for creating the African Peering and Interconnection Forum. As you may know, the Internet Society is an independent, international nonprofit organization dedicated to the growth and advancement of the Internet globally. We've been involved in assisting Internet growth in emerging economies since our inception in 1992. And for over 20 years, ISOC has run international Internet capacity building programs in developing regions. In Africa, we have over 24 local chapters, an African Regional Bureau directed by Dr. Bekele, staff in Kenya and Ethiopia, and volunteers located throughout the continent. We engage in numerous capacity building policy and development projects in Africa, working with many partner organizations such as AfriNIC, AFTLD, AFNOG, regional bodies such as the AUC, industry, technologists, government, and many other stakeholders. But the Internet Society is engaged in this work not just to expand the Internet for its own sake, but because we know the Internet is a fundamental driver of international trade, economic growth, and social development around the world. It's also a foundational tool for growing business opportunities, jobs, entrepreneurship, scientific advancement, education, and public administration. Yet these benefits of the Internet cannot be realized unless the fundamental Internet infrastructures and related investments have the environment and tools to grow and flourish. Indeed, the long-term sustainability of the Internet in any region, including Africa, relies on the ability of ISPs and other industry players to conduct their operations efficiently, manage costs, provide reliable services to users at reasonable prices, and ultimately to take advantage of the growth and market opportunities that this continent of over 1 billion people provides. There have been many exciting developments in the Internet landscape in Africa in recent years. This includes new undersea cable landings around the coasts, new domestic and foreign investments, and increased dialogue between government, industry, and other stakeholders on the development of access-enabling policies, among many other achievements. However, significant challenges, as we know, still remain to achieving a sustainable, efficient, and cost-effective networking environment on the continent, and many of those relate to the interconnection and peering topics of this forum. For those of you who joined us last year for AfPIF3 in Ghana and for AfPIF1 2 years ago in Kenya, will recall that our themes for those meetings centered around regional interconnection. The theme for this third AfPIF meeting is addressing Africa's internet transit deficit. And let me take a moment to explain how we chose this theme this year. We know that significant recent investments in African submarine infrastructure will see over 25 terabits per second capacity coming into service in 2012 in Africa. This is a stark contrast to the 2011 base international capacity of just over 520 gigabits per second. According to Packet Clearinghouse, however, the aggregate 2011 IXP traffic in Africa exchanged locally was only about 5 gigabits per second, indicating that local traffic exchange in Africa comprises only at a rate of about 1% of the 2011 international capacity. Further, 98% of this 1% locally exchanged traffic derived from only 3 countries in Africa: Egypt, Kenya, and South Africa, with South Africa by far making up the largest share of locally exchanged traffic on the continent, representing some 79% of Africa's total. Our challenge is that Africa still imports 99% of the internet traffic consumed by users on the continent, creating an internet traffic trade deficit or transit deficit where significantly less internet traffic is generated and exchanged locally in Africa than is accessed from overseas. Now, some good news is that according to Hamilton Research, over 138 kilometers of new terrestrial fiber came into service every day in 2011 in Africa, adding to the existing base of some 675,000 kilometers. Yet the cost of terrestrial capacity in Africa compared to international capacity is still very high. As it was noted yesterday, the cost of capacity from Johannesburg to Cape Town is more costly than capacity from Cape Town to London. Capacity from Lagos to Abuja in Nigeria costs more than capacity from Lagos to London. And this domestic scenario is replicated in many countries across the entire region, helping to exacerbate Africa's transit deficit. I know this is a situation that many of you are familiar with and indeed frustrated by, and our hope is that AfPIF3 will help advance opportunities to address these important challenges. So that's why we're here for the forum part of AfPIF3 over the next 2 days, to discuss infrastructure, content, and policy issues that are critical to solving Africa's transit deficit. The agenda aims to discuss the role that submarine cables can play, how we can unlock the opportunities for more cost-effective terrestrial capacity, the transition of national IXPs to regional IXPs, and the local content formula. And perhaps most importantly, we hope this meeting will be an opportunity to forge the ideas, relationships, and business opportunities that will help propel the next wave of African internet growth. In sum, at the Internet Society, our vision is an Africa that is not just an internet consumer, but an internet creator on par with the rest of the world. And I know this is a vision that many of you share. So perhaps over the next 2 days, we can challenge our thinking in this way. What can we do collectively to turn Africa's current transit deficit into an environment where Africa exchanges 80% of regional traffic and 20% of international traffic by 2020? So perhaps, as I mentioned previously, one of the most important aspects of this meeting is the opportunity to develop relationships. We hope you'll take the opportunity to seek out individuals from your own and other industry segments for discussions during the breaks, lunches, and evening events. And this is one of the reasons, based on feedback from prior AfPIF 1 and 2 participants, that we've moved to a 3-day format this meeting, with the technical tutorials and the Peering Coordinators Day happening yesterday, and 2 days of the forum today and tomorrow. So please also take time to visit the exhibits next door for our African and international sponsors who have been very generous in supporting us all to be here. Just a couple of final closing notes. For those of you who weren't here for the tutorial and the Peering Coordinators Day yesterday, I believe we still have a few copies of the Peering Playbook by Bill Norton and the recent ISOC Analysis Mason paper on the assessment and impact of internet exchange points in Kenya and Nigeria. We passed those out to delegates yesterday, and if you weren't here, we still have some copies that are available at the registration desk. In closing, let me say thank you for attending the 3rd African Peering and Interconnection Forum. And the Internet Society looks forward to working with the many stakeholders represented here to advance this work and to help deliver on the promise of the Internet in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I would like to invite now Adiel Akplogan, who is CEO of AfriNIC.
Thank you, Dawit. I like the formula, all protocol observed, because that's what I'm going to use to thank everybody. Particularly, I would like to thank ISOC and all the sponsors of this event for allowing this particular meeting to take place, and specifically ISOC for taking the lead 3 years ago to organize a forum like this to address the issue of peering and transit in our region. I think that was a timely initiative because the landscape of our infrastructure in Africa is evolving and will continue to evolve, and we need to take a very specific attention to this aspect of the internet in our region. I'm also happy to see that this event is happening here in Johannesburg. If you have followed what Karen just said, South Africa accounts for more than 80% of local traffic. That means being here, we have the opportunity to exchange with people who are running network in South Africa. We have the opportunity to exchange and see what is going on here and see how we can replicate them. And I think that is one of the objectives of this kind of forum as well, to exchange, to build network, and to use this opportunity to learn things that we can re-implement or replicate in our different countries. I have one wish, though, for AfPIF and for future AfPIF is to see more and more major operators present at AfPIF meeting. Major operators include incumbent telecommunication company, also mobile operators, because those are, in our region specifically, key players in the internet infrastructure. It's maybe different from other regions, but unfortunately in our region that is what the landscape looks like. And we have to make sure that those players attend this kind of forum to understand the economics behind the internet, how peering works, what transit is, how they can optimize bandwidth for providing better service to their customers. We need to bring in also policymakers, because peering and transit are business decisions at some point of time. And those people who set rules, who set policy, must understand what this is on play, so to be able to create appropriate framework for operators to do business properly. We usually see internet especially from technical community, from one side, only the technical side, only the routing side, and we are happy to play with our router and all. But when we start talking about transit, we start talking about peering. Before anything, it is a business relationship that is built between two entities, between two operators. And this business relationship has to be based on a global vision, on the global strategy of an organization. And it is very important for us to, when we talk about this very specific peering and transit issue, we integrate the business aspect. And I think that is one of the weaknesses of the internet ecosystem in our region. How good are we integrating the technical aspect to the business or the economy of the internet? And we have a challenge as technical community in this region to make sure that we translate all this into simple message that can be pushed up to decision-making or decision-maker, both in our institution, but also at government and regulation level. Addressing the deficits of transit and peering in Africa starts fundamentally from understanding the landscape of the internet in Africa. The internet is evolving very quickly and rapidly from a flat infrastructure to an interconnected one. There is no reason for Africa not to evolve to an interconnected network. That's how the internet has been designed to work, and there is no reason for us in our region either not to go that way, and that is happening slowly, but it will happen. How is this happening? What are the players? What are the challenges? We need to understand those challenges to be able to address the deficit. The environment is moving from a content consumption environment to a content provision. And mobile is helping to fast-track this. And I believe personally that mobile internet will fundamentally change the environment in our region, and that has to be taken into consideration seriously right now. We need to create a real dynamic between operators locally and regionally. Operators have to work together. They have to be competitors. They have to understand that interconnection is not only in the advantage of others, but it's an advantage for the internet infrastructure as a whole. And better we are interconnected, better we can do business, and better we can encourage local content. We need to work more to set up exchange points for the good reason, not just setting up exchange points where people think that they are going there to just plug in a cable and have the traffic go through, but use the exchange point as a catalyst for peering policy that can strengthen the local internet and in turn strengthen regional interconnection. We need to improve exchange point role in optimizing traffic in our region. Their role is that. Very fundamental, and that has to be the goal which we're pursuing when we set up exchange point and when we train people to peer at exchange points. AfriNIC see the huge opportunity and the need that is there in terms of improving transit, improving peering capability of network in Africa. And that is why our goal mainly is not to set up exchange point in Africa, but our goal at AfriNIC is how we can help strengthen exchange point, how we can help exchange point become fundamental tool for internet development in countries, how we can help exchange point to achieve the goal of creating a cooperation and dynamic between operators in region, because without that kind of cooperation, that kind of interconnection, because before you interconnect, you have to understand the importance of cooperating for the internet. And we believe that strengthening exchange points to develop will help create a local framework that can support interconnection and support what the internet is, interconnecting different networks. We want to strengthen exchange points And we have launched few programs a few years ago to help already established exchange point to add value to what they are doing. And this is growing. We have recently launched an anycast platform for CCTLD, and one of our goals is to allow some of those nodes at exchange points so that CCTLD can take advantage of the exchange point as well, which in turn will help them to grow, because if they provide a CCTLD environment that is stable, resilient, people will be more comfortable registering their domain. Good peering policy and transit architecture will definitely imply a very strong step for local content creation. Our ultimate goal is for Africa to really use the internet for sharing, for creating applications that can improve people's social life. Local content is key. But usually when we talk about local content, we talk about chicken and egg. But I believe fundamentally that if we improve the interconnection environment, we will be able to encourage people to create local content, because they will understand that when the content is local, it costs them less to put it available, to make it available for people. I wish us a very successful meeting, and I would like us to have a kind of a metrics to evaluate the success of this forum, to know how many new peering do we have after each meeting. We at AfPIF3, I remember that at the end of the meeting, we said that many operators present have managed to secure deal of transit, of peering, and I think that is a good metrics for us to know if this gathering is being successful, if this gathering is impacting the environment. So how much or how many network will be interconnected after this meeting? How many new projects of peering will we have at the end of this meeting? I think that will be a good metrics for us all. So to not just gather for having nice speak, but gathering to improve the local environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Adiel. We take note of your last suggestion, and our objective is really to make a difference. And we would like to know what differences we have made at each meeting. And we'll come back to that maybe later, but I agree that it is a very good idea, and we welcome any information. If you have achieved something concrete during this forum, we'll be happy to hear. We'll make another announcement maybe at the end, but you can come and talk to me or Michuki to tell us this is what we have gained by participating in this forum. And now I would like to call Mr. Moctar Yedaly, who is representing the African Union, and I'm happy to say that he has a major announcement today.
Dear friends, it is an honor and a pleasure to be here. I also like the formula, all protocol observed. But I also find it very challenging to speak last. Following those good speakers, they have spoken about everything that I don't have anything to speak about. And specifically yesterday, I was asking my colleague, how was it your day yesterday? They say, people who were there know what they are talking about. I asked him, what should we do? And then he said, well, let's talk about what we know about, which is African Union Commission. And then it is an honor and a pleasure again to be here. This is my first Internet Peering Forum I am attending, and the reason being is that the African Union Commission, as you know, has switched or shifted from more political peace and security issue to development issues. And the African Union believe that ICT could change and will change these African societies. And therefore, several decisions and recommendations have been adopted by the African Union institutions such as the Summit of the Head of State, the Conference of Ministers in charge of ICT, etc. For the last 2-3 days, I've been locked with some academics and gurus of planning, including the Institute of Security Studies in Africa, University of Colorado, and World Bank, and so on. And the question, among others, was, in 2018, the total investments for ICT, both public and private, will start declining. And the question was why? And I left the meeting and we haven't got the answer yet, because I wanted to come here. And the reason being is that by 2015, most of the investment on infrastructure will have been probably achieved as planned. That's the good news, and that's the bad news. The good news is the fact that, yes, we are moving towards something that we are achieving, and the bad news is the fact that maybe we'll not reach the 2018 as we haven't reached the MDG's goals by 2015. Then the debate still continues, but I'm glad to come here because, as I was saying, we believe on the power of ICT. African Union believe that ICT could do a lot for African citizens. Specifically, recently, an independent studies has shown that most of our local traffic is going through outside service providers, and therefore, it has been estimated that we are paying more than $600 million a year to exchange the traffic among us. Hence, this is very important to have these peering meetings. And as Bajal was saying, we need to see how much of you, after each meeting, will have peered and made sure that the traffic, the local content is being generated. Now, the head of states have met in 2010, and they made a declaration. Within the declaration, they have requested us to enhance the infrastructure for Africa, and specifically to build as much as possible internet exchange points in Africa and enhance the local content and the local traffic among Africans. With regard to the infrastructure, we have built with the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and with the Nepal Planning and Coordination Agency, we have created a project called the Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa, noted SPIDA. This is the master plan for Africa and for transport, energy, water, and ICT specifically. With regard to the ICT, we have identified all missing links in Africa to make sure that the terrestrial broadband is built right away. And therefore, for the next 10 years, we need actually to spend $0.7 billion to make sure that all capital cities and all major cities are interconnected by terrestrial broadband. And that meeting also one of the Connect Africa first goal, which is by 2012, we're supposed to have interconnected all our capital cities. The second is the local content, among others, is to encourage the peerings and specifically to create the project of .Africa that is actually again being run. And I think one of the sponsors here is the .Africa, and we are proud to say that we have initiated that project at the AU level, and we have contracted with a South African company, Uniforum, to run the .Africa for us. With regard now to the internet exchange points, we have secured the fundings, and it is my honor and pleasure today to announce that the African Union Commission have selected and will sign on Monday a contract with Internet Society to conduct the community mobilization and technical workshop to support the establishment of internet exchange point. In the 30 member states, we have identified that they don't have an internet exchange point, i.e., we will be working with ISOG for the next 2 years to conduct more than 60 workshops at the national level to encourage each and every internet country to have a national internet exchange point, and then we'll move up to creating the regional internet exchange point within the continent. The funds are secured, the process of procurement has said, and through that process, procurement process, internet exchange point have been started. I would just like you to congratulate them for that. And we sincerely look forward to work with them to build those workshops and to make sure that by the end of the program, which is actually a 3-year program funded by the Luxembourg Development Agency, that we will be actually achieving those goals to have the maximum national internet exchange point and the maximum of regional internet exchange point. This is a very good project and very huge project also that requires also not only the skills and the competencies of the ISOC, but requires our political blessing and facilitation, but also your technical expertise. You're willing to go there. You're willing to support, specifically when it comes to the transboundary issues with regard to the transboundary traffic, regional internet exchange point. Your presence, your participation, your contribution are very welcome. This is all I wanted to say today. I hope I haven't been too long. But again, I would like to wish you a very fruitful discussions, and I look forward again to meeting you and to talk with you. And again, congratulations to ISOC. Thank you.
Thank you, Moctar. We are very honored for being selected by the African Union for this major project, and we believe that it will help us further our objectives in promoting interconnection within the African continent. So it is a shared objective, and we are really happy to be selected to implement it. Now the next thing is that we are going to have in this room a press conference related to this latest announcement, and we would like to ask you to go for the break and also to go and visit the booth. As you know, we have an exhibition in just next room, and it's an occasion for you to go and visit the booth and the coffee and take the coffee as well. And as I said earlier, it is an opportunity for everybody to, this forum is meant to create human networking and to allow people to know each other, exchange information, and possibly go as far as peering. So we encourage you to go and talk to other people and create this human link that is very important for what we want to achieve in this conference. So please go and take coffee, go to the exhibition, and network. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that you need to be back here at 11 exactly. Okay, thank you.